All right, J Money is money. I'm coming right back to you. Talk to me about your boys, the Pelicans.
Yeah, don't love the spot here. Don't love the card, to be honest with you, but this is a spot I'll rock with the Pelicans. As long as they're not facing the Utah Jazz, I think they'll look a little bit better here. They had covered 6 straight games. For whatever reason, man, they've lost 5 straight up there in Utah. So I don't know if it's the altitude that gets to them, guys like Zion, but with or without Zion, they just can't win in Utah. So they come back at the house off of 2 straight tough losses in Utah. Before that, they had covered 6 straight spreads. You got the Sixers coming off a huge game. They just smacked up the Lakers by like 40 some points. And now they do have the Celtics on deck as well. So somewhat of a little sandwich spot. Big game versus the Lakers. Now they go on the road versus the other conference, the Western Conference opponent of before a big game versus the Celtics. So I'll ride with the Pelicans in this one, starting to get a little bit more healthier. I think they'll probably close as the favorites in this game.
Jay, how big of a deal is it that they're coming off that massive win, Philadelphia versus the Lakers? Is it just one of those spots where they got 2 marquee spots coming up here and they're potentially overlooking this Pelicans team during the
No, I
middle of
don't
the
think
week?
they're. Yeah, honestly, I don't think they're overlooking them. My bet here is based mainly on the Pelicans. It's not really a fade of the Sixers because obviously the Sixers are great, but then when I look at it and see that they have the Celtics on deck, that really kind of makes it a little bit more juicy, especially when they're going on the road to face a Western Conference opponent. And this team has been traveling all over the place as well. They had 2 games on the road, Atlanta, Brooklyn. Then they came home for 1 game versus Cleveland, back out on the road versus Minnesota, then Oklahoma City, then 1 game at the house versus the Lakers. Blowout win. Now back on the road before you go to Boston as well. So just regardless of the spot of the Sixers, I think it's a buy spot for the Pelicans to get back on track at the house where they play their best basketball. And also when you look at it a little deeper, it is a good spot to possibly fade the Sixers coming off a big win as well.
AC, how do you feel about that spot?
Yeah, I like it, man. So New Orleans coming off 3 straight road games. Obviously, 2 of them were in Utah. They didn't play very well. They lost both of those games outright. And this is a potential look ahead spot for Philly. It's a one game on the road type of thing into New Orleans, which is a city where maybe the nightlife is not like Miami or LA, but there's definitely stuff to do in New Orleans. And then they have to fly back out, day of the game to go back to Boston. So I like the spot here. And if you look at their head-to-head history, right, I'm not a big trends guy at all. I like spots just like Jay, depending on schedule, rest advantage, who's in, who's out, what the form is, recent form, things like that. But if you do look at the head-to-head last 10, the Sixers have won, 8 of those 10 games, but they don't really cover. It's actually the Pelicans that have covered for the most part there. So even if they don't get the win, they'll be able to cover here. Jay's looking to get to outright win, right? Because it's Pelicans +1, which again, for those who listened earlier, I don't like the short favorite. So by default already, I'm going to like the Pelicans in this game. And I think we all know if the Pelicans are playing up to their capability, which is going to be like really tough nose defense and then Zion dominating the paint, I think they can run with anybody.
5 straight unders have hit in Pelicans games as well. Keep an eye on that. Joel Embiid, these numbers are starting to get super inflated for the big 2 for Philadelphia. Embiid is up to 32.5 on the points prop over under. Tyrese Maxey's at 26.5. So keep an eye on those. And a team that's gone under in 5 straight in the Pelicans, if you're looking at props, that might be something to dig into and get a little more info there.